The old horse adage goes, no foot, no horse, and it's really quite appropriate. We compete on our horses a lot, and the horses obviously have to use their feet every time they move. You can have the most beautiful, otherwise athletic horse going. If they have problems with their feet and foot soreness issues, they are not able to achieve anything at all. They can't even be useful as a light riding horse. So the feet are of vital importance to the horse. And keeping those feet in balance through trimming and or shoeing is really important. So foot balance is something that a horse owner needs to have input on from their veterinarian, and they should try and work with a veterinarian who has a special interest in feet. They also have to have a good working relationship with their farrier or horseshoer who does the trimming and or shoeing of that particular horse. But it's useful for a horse owner to also be familiar with some of the general concepts of foot balance. When we talk about foot balance, we generally talk about balance as viewed from the side or lateral balance of the foot. We talk about AP balance, or balance as you view the foot from the front. And then we talk about some general balance characteristics as you pick up a foot and look at the bottom of the foot. So we're talking about general visual guidelines that you should be familiar with that just help you ascertain whether the horse's foot is in balance. Now, if you look at a horse from the side and you want to tell if its foot is balanced, you need to have them standing square. They can't have limbs placed in different locations, standing square. And in general, you want to see from the level of their fetlock to the ground a nice straight line without angulation that goes all the way through the pastern bones down through the foot. If you have deviation from that, it's either what we call a broken forward angle, and the extreme version of that is what we call a club foot, which is not useful for a horse. Probably the worst imbalance that you'll see when viewed from the side is what's called the angulation that goes the other way, a broken back pastern foot axis. That situation over time leads to what's called a long toe, low heel conformation in the foot, and that ultimately leads to foot soreness. It's probably one of the biggest negatives, if you will, of the foot balance issue in horses. If you were to look at that horse that has the broken back foot pastern axis and look at its foot from the bottom, you're going to find that that foot has a disproportionate amount of foot running out towards the toe from the middle of the foot than it has in the heel region of the foot. And the problem with that is the horse needs the heel region of the foot as its major weight support area. And so if you end up with that low heel, long toe, broken back foot pastern axis, ultimately the heel region of the foot develops soreness. Horses cannot get around very effectively, and their utility is extremely limited or totally negated because of foot soreness issues that develop. So having a general concept as a horse owner, you should be able to look at your horse and tell if some of those imbalances exist. Looking from the front, you would like to have that same straight line approach be a straight line that drops down through the middle of the pastern bones all the way to the ground. There are deviations of that are still totally compatible with normalcy, and so I don't dwell much what we call mediolateral balance, side-to-side balance. It is important. It's probably not as big a negative as is the imbalance of the broken back foot pastern axis with the long toe underrun heel. That's a real problem that farriers and veterinarians face every day. And it makes for extreme limitations on how a horse is able to get around. As a horse owner, educate yourself to be familiar with what some of these imbalances look like, even in their more subtle versions, because these imbalances don't just occur overnight. It's usually something that develops over time for different reasons. But make yourself familiar with what those imbalances would look like so that you're able to get proper intervention at the right times through your veterinarian and farrier, and those two really should work in concert on these issues and can help get your horse lined out and back on the right track.